Push you out to YouTube. You should be on going on YouTube, Tom.
Where's Bob and who else is?
All right. Welcome everyone to the November 18th meeting of Capital Planning. We could open the meeting. If I unmute myself, it'd be easier. Welcome to the meeting, Capital Planning, November 18th. If we could open the meeting and start with the Pledge of Allegiance.
Gotcha.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right. Now that we've done that, we'll look to everyone got our meeting minutes from Monday, November 9th that been sent out. If everyone's had a chance to review it, I'll accept the motion to accept the minutes as written unless someone has changes.
So moved.
Okay, do I have a second?
Justice raises.
Justice, it looked like you're waving a second and your mic must be off. You're on mute.
Second, thank you.
Okay. All right, motions are made and seconded. Any discussion or changes or omissions? Okay, hearing none. I'll do a roll call. Holly?
Yes.
Terry? Terry?
Yes, I accidentally muted.
Cheryl? Okay. Justice?
Yes.
And I'm a yes. All right. Next thing we got up is to discuss new clerk. I believe we've had interest from Justice to be a clerk as far as the capital planning goes. Is that correct, Justice?
Yes, that is correct, Tom. Oh my God. Yeah.
Okay.
It's not. Okay.
We'll entertain a motion and a possible second to discuss it.
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay. Some motions have been made and seconded for Justice to do the clerk's position. Cheryl, you have any objections to this?
None.
Okay, I just
Thank you
figured
for
I'd
doing it.
check and
No problem.
make sure. Anyone else have any discussion on the position?
No.
Okay, all those in do a roll call vote on the motion. Holly,
Yes.
Terry,
Yes.
Cheryl,
Yes.
Justice,
Yes.
and I'm a yes. Congratulations, Justice.
Thank you.
Justice.
Thank you very much for stepping up.
Appreciate it.
No problem.
All right, next up we got department reviews. Between the two of you, if you want to jump up and down and see who wants to go first. We go, probably go maybe Mr. McDonald. I think you got a few less than Mr. Sozak does.
Yeah,
That's okay.
he can go last
Somebody
anyway.
was going to buy me lunch or let him go first.
Yeah, I don't think
I didn't
so.
get that offer.
Yeah.
All right, go ahead.
I have 3 items up for capital improvement for FY22. On the form, I accidentally put FY21 as Bob called me up to tell me about. So these pump station upgrades, this cost of it's approximately $225,000. I wrote that wrong. But anyways, the pump station upgrades, there's 3 pump stations that are pretty much been here since the beginning of our sewer system. They go 2 to 3 levels below grade. The ventilation is not great in them. They're very rusting and rotting out. So I want to have an engineering company come in and assess trying to replace those pump stations basically with above ground units. And the city of Gardner just did the same thing in the last like 5-6 years. And they replaced 3 of their, almost identical to what we're doing, 3 of their pump stations. They just took them out and put above ground pump stations. And so it actually, to do 3 pump stations, they did it under $1 million for the whole construction of it. And obviously they had an engineering fee too. So that's kind of one item. And those pump stations are tired and they're, like I said, rotting out. And it's just not real safe to go into. You got to go all the way down 2 floors, and you got to make sure you always have your meter with you on when you're going down there, checking for oxygen and everything. So just not feeling real comfortable with them anymore. So that's that one. Is there any questions on that?
Yeah, I have a question, Bob. On the thing, on the form, it says for the replacement and removal of the current pump stations at those 3 places. But on the back page, it talks about recommending a budget of approximately $225 for the design phase.
Yeah.
Saying it'll only be a set of documents. What would be which is correct on that?
It's where's my page 2 of this? The sorry, I'm just trying to look for a piece of paper.
Yep.
So on the it's $225,000 to do the engineering and design, and that includes the RFP. That doesn't pay for any of the actual work to be done physically on the pump stations.
Okay, do you have a rough guess on, I assume you'd be going, once we did the design phase, looking to go into a second phase of the project?
Exactly. And going by Gardner's numbers, they were under 700,000 to do 3 pump stations. Like I said, are pretty similar. You know, it's also been 5-6 years, so I'm not sure if the price is still going to be the same, but that's why I use the number of under $100 million. So, but even still, like we just did the Pleasant Street pump station, which is a much bigger pump station that had a lot of work done. You're talking, I think that was close to $2 million to do that one pump station. So these are smaller pump stations that their flow rate's not nearly as high as Pleasant Street's. So I feel that we can definitely put in smaller units to take care of the flow that we have. So than the Pleasant Street one.
Do you remember what the design phase was on Pleasant Street? Just because 225 seems high on only a less than $1 million project.
I don't. I wasn't here for that part. That was prior to me joining the town, and I'd have to go look in the old paperwork to see what that design phase was. Period. But I had a company. Wright Pierce came in a few weeks ago, and I gave them all the drawings of those 3 pump stations. So they went through and they went out and they actually surveyed each of the pump stations to look at them land-wise. And then they took all the drawings to see where the inflow and discharge lines are. So I feel that it's a fairly decent price, and it's not to say that I won't put it out to bid. I will put it out to bid for a price that high. I'm going to have a few engineering firms bid on this to try to get a better, really get the best price for the buck, for the bang, so.
All right. Does anyone else on the committee have any questions on the pump station upgrades? All right. You want to go on to your next project?
Sure. The next one is our transformer. Last year, we were approved for a capital spending to replace our existing transformer for this treatment plant. We ran into a few roadblocks on that. The wire inspector he's done his job. He's doing fine. I don't have any complaints or anything. He just brought up a lot of issues that, because laws have changed in the last year, that are requiring us to re-engineer our thoughts or rethink how we're going to do this. And which really means is that we're going to have an engineering company come in with a PE stamp to do it. And we were hoping between the Templeton Light Company and the two electrical companies that we had were hiring to do this work could do it. And but with the new rules and regs, we definitely have to have an engineer come in and do up all the drawings and the specs on how he wants to see it done. The other part is that we also came to find out that when the treatment plant was built, the breakers inside the building don't cooperate with the breakers in the current transformer, and are not in line with the actual fuse that's on the pole. So what this means is that it's like, think of your house. You have a circuit breaker for outlets in your kitchen, and when that something shorts out in the kitchen, it trips that one breaker in your circuit breaker panel. What happens here is that if we have a short, it doesn't trip out the one breaker inside because they're rated wrong, and it trips the breaker outside, or trips the fuse on the pole. So every time you have a major surge, you're going to end up having to have a light company come and try to change a fuse way up on a pole. And if it's inclement weather, then you're not in good shape. So that's why we found this out recently, and in fact in the last 2 weeks. So we have to have it re-engineered, rethought over how we're going to tackle this process. And it's very important. It's probably one of my top priorities right now, because you're basically flirting with disaster in a way, because I already got half the transformer is already failed. So I'm only working on one half, which is adequate enough to run this plant. It's just as its age and all the other issues that I just mentioned are going on. So that's why I'm using FY21 capital funds to get the engineering going right now, and I'm also putting in for more funds I'm going to need additional materials in order to do this change out next year.
How much was appropriated last year for this, and how much?
Same amount, 50,000.
How much?
50,000.
50,000 last year.
Yeah. Or I think it was 55. I'm sorry, 55.
And again, with this 50 would just be for the additional engineering. So it'd basically be 105 towards engineering, or?
No, the engineering cost is going to be about $14,000 to $15,000. So that, and I'm anticipating that we're going to have to redo some of the main breakers inside the building now, because it has to do with a kVA or kilowatts, kilovolts that's on the pole, the breaker that's on the pole basically, or the fuse that's on the pole, versus the breaker inside the transformer versus the breakers inside the building. They're not matching up. One's supposed to be smaller than the next. So you're supposed to trip inside the building first, then trip at the transformer, then trip at the pole. And we're not doing that. We're actually backwards. So that's why I gotta put more money into materials and labor also, along with the engineering. And a lot of this was, when you do a rebuild from the old plant, the way it was to the way it is now, and they spent a lot of money doing that rebuild in 2004 through 6. And unfortunately, that part wasn't addressed. And so now it's time to take care of it and get it in where it needs to be.
Did you feel there'd be a third phase to this project, or would this finish off the
No,
project?
there shouldn't be a third base. I think this should be adequate. And the only thing I still have out there right now is that the electricians are now going to talk with the engineers, the engineer that gave me that quote that you see to do the engineering. And he also did the engineering on Pleasant Street. This company did. So we have a good rapport with them. But they need to talk to the engineer and explain to them what they found out with the electrical inspector and everything. So they're going to get back to me if we're not within the ballpark of what we need to spend on materials. So I don't foresee it going down. The number might go up a little bit, but right now that's what I put 50,000 there as a base.
And you'd be looking for this to come out of the sewer enterprise funds?
Yes. Yep.
Do you know roughly what's in that?
Right now there's over 500,000.
Okay.
And that's your top priority, you said?
Yeah, it is. It's just, like I said, the last time that the breaker tripped in the transformer, it took the electrician 225 tries to get that main breaker to pull in. So he was out there for, I don't know, 3-4 hours, and it finally pulled in. So it's just, you get to a point where if that happens and it doesn't pull in and you're running on generator, which the generator doesn't run the entire plant, it only runs a portion of it, then you're on a real emergency procedures at that point to get crews in here to fix the aging unit system. So
Sounds like a good call.
yeah,
In the long run, it'll save you a lot of headaches.
yeah, hopefully. Yeah, it will. It definitely will.
Anyone have anything else on the transformer engineering? All right, on to your next project.
The third item is the pump recirc reuse system. It was unfortunately it was part of the rebuild in 2004. I think it's 2004, 2006. I always get them mixed up. But anyways, it was part of the rebuild there. But unfortunately, they sized it too small. And what happens is when we're running our press and we're using plant water to run the press, it takes away from where the reuse water is being used in other areas like backwashing the filter or something like that. So you can't run more than one thing with that system, and it's unfortunate because you don't want to use tap water from the city, because then you're paying exorbitant amounts of money for tap water when you have all this water in the plant to use. And so it's really needs to be upgraded. And so we're talking, we have a company, Hayes Pump's going to come in this week to give us again, I picked a number of 50,000 just to be on the kind of safe side. I don't think it's going to be that much, but Hayes Pump's going to come in and give us an idea what they think the cost will be. And obviously when it comes to doing the project, we'll bid it out. But I just feel that we really need to focus on it so that we can run more than one part of the process and not use town water. So if those pumps are working so hard and they can't keep up with our water supply, they're not running efficiently either. They're not within their pump curves. So it's just it has to be replaced because it's just not the right system for the project, unfortunately.
How long do you think that'll carry you?
That should be easily 20 years. I mean, those pumps are once they're put in and all the controls, they go a long time.
And the other upgrades?
Well, the transformer, it'll still be here long after I pass away. I know that, so that's a good thing. As far as the first one, the pump upgrades, well, they've been there since what, 70, 74. So they too will be around for 20, 40 years, probably without needing any major upgrades on them.
So we're talking about 325,000, give or take.
Yeah, and the only one that I'd probably be going out for some SRF loan or USDA loan is when I would do the pump station. It's take the pump station engineering and the actual physical upgrade and put the two amounts together and probably do a loan to pay for that. Fortunately, we have one of our debts that'll be paid up by then, and so it just kind of replaces it. So we're not talking about additional costs to the users, the ratepayers. So. That's all I got for you guys.
Very good.
Any other questions on the last project? All right, Bob, appreciate you bringing your projects forward.
Okay.
We talk hearing the rest of them later on today, and be starting to discuss them at our next meeting and trying to prioritize what we
Right.
and what we don't recommend going forward.
As I get some more information in on these and some a better idea of cost, I'll immediately get the information to Holly so she can get it out to you guys. Okay.
All right. Yeah, that'd be greatly appreciated, because obviously the more information we can have, the better decision we can make as far as moving forward on it.
Yeah. All right. That works for me.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, thanks, folks. Have a
Thanks,
good night.
Bob. You too.
Good night, Stacy.
All right, thank you.
All right. Next up, we have either highway or building and grounds, whichever.
We'll do highway first.
Okay. Welcome, Bob.
Good evening, everybody.
Good evening, Bob. Keep me in mind when you go for lunch.
Yeah. Well, capital planning for the highway department for 2022. I do want to let you all know that going on 3 years, and the 3 years I've been here, we're actually starting to make improvements, and the townspeople are noticing the difference in the equipment and whatnot. We actually have 3 or 4 pieces of equipment the same color now. So it's something to be proud of, and we're slowly getting there, but we still got a ways to go. So on the first request I have is the MS4 stormwater management. This will be our 3rd year working with this with a consultant. The consultant's it entitles a lot of paperwork in the final report, a lot of field work, and it takes a big load off of everybody involved with it in the MS4. I think the last couple of years, myself, Adam, and Laurie, and the consultant, we also connect with the sewer department. I think we're heading in the right direction with this. It works out well. So for FY '22, talking with the consultant, we're looking at probably pretty close to $30,000 for next year. And as follows, you'll see, he did send me an email. That's what I should request. And on a report, June 30th of 2022, 4 years after the effective date, it gives you some of the stuff they're going to be working on and doing, street designs, regulations and reports that are due on the infrastructure and stormwater. The stormwater they did this year, they did some field work and monitored a lot of the collection sites and tested them. And it's going to keep us in good standings and stay with the regulation and what's required for the state. So I think it's money that's being used very wisely.
How does the 30,000 compare with the other years that they've been?
Well, the first year was 25, I believe. This year was 17. So it does fluctuate up and down a little bit. It all depends what the state requires for that year. And this is the highest it's been so far. This past fiscal year was either 17 or 17.5. And we're able to get it what we needed to stay in accordance with the state for that amount of money this year.
This is part of the source water area protection from 2003. The SWAP report had the storm drain in it. It's just like, bringing it current because they had made those recommendations in the water report way back then, if you look it up on the DEP file. So congratulations and thank you. It's getting a lot more focused as far as water runoff and leachate and, what actually is in the water that we drink, the water that we send into the Otter River. It's not as simple as it used to be as far as people are taking a lot more pharmaceuticals and those are coming out and, those don't always get filtered out in the gray water. Some of them get put right back in, they go right through. So, and things that do come down storm drain. So Adam showed me a lot of what you've been doing. Thank you.
Yeah, and this has a lot to do with Laurie as well, giving out pamphlets, even picking up after your dog waste, blowing grass out into the street and getting into the catch basins. It's also to do with handouts and educating the public what's going on with the MS4 and what requirements they look for. And the more we can give to the residents, the better off it'll help us on the other end. And I think we're doing a great job so far.
Yeah, and everybody can be healthy and safe.
All right. Anyone have any other questions on the project? All right. Placement of H1.
H1 is the DPW director's vehicle. Since I started, we originally had a plan to, I was going to use the fire chief's old vehicle in place of his new one. And then the one I was using was going to get passed along to the emergency management, which it did. Well, unfortunately, we found out the frame was broken on that, so that's in the auction and long gone. So we're kind of in a pinch. So we come up with some short monies to buy a 2014 Equinox. The chassis has 247,000 miles on it. The second motor in it, when we bought it, it had a 120 something thousand. It's probably got 144,000 on it now. In discussing last year, I went with Carter. His idea and thoughts were, if I was to get a new vehicle, we could turn around and pass that down to the land use department for inspections, along with the fire department for daily inspections, and get some more use out of it. And this newer vehicle would be, it's a mid-size a Ford Ranger pickup, which is more what we really need. And at least I can carry some hand tools and able to pitch in bad weather, or be a little bit higher off the snow, and perform my job a little better. And the quote on that is $32,910.
Would that be set up to plow in the wintertime too with that, Bob?
No, not being a mid-sized pickup. I was gonna go for a larger pickup, but I was more concerned with the amount of running around and stuff I do. Trying to save on fuel a little bit. I thought that would be more great. I think we're getting in shape, and as far as plows wise, we do have two 550s now. We're just gonna continue working on the 6-wheel trucks, and like I said, we're getting there, and a little more, we'll be in pretty good shape. But I figured this would be more suitable for going out of town for meetings and conferences, if those ever come back and whatnot.
You'd be looking to purchase this outright?
Yeah,
And what were you saying about passing this down, or passing the current vehicles normal?
the current vehicle would be used between the land use department and the fire department. Laurie's doing her perk test and whatnot. Fire chief on his daily smoke detector inspections, or any other kind of inspection, and they could use the car, which would be considerably saving on gas and doing a job just fine. I'm guessing there's probably 2 to 3 years good left in it. It's been well taken care of. But I don't think it would be a good frontline vehicle for everyday use.
Could she throw her stuff in the back, or Luann throw her stuff in the back? Is there
Yeah,
room for their
Yeah, there won't
stuff?
be nothing back there. Everything that's in there now is removable. There is a cargo area. They'll be able to put their stuff.
Is that one all-wheel drive?
Yes, it is.
Okay, anyone have any more questions on replacing H1? All right, we got the Foreman pickup.
Woman's pickup. Last year I put it in as a utility pickup. But a long bed pickup with a big front line toolbox is more than sufficient. The biggest thing is this is spec'd out with call it a Tommy gate, which is instead of a tailgate, it has a lift gate, which is gonna be tremendous on safety as far as anybody hurting their backs and placing stuff in the back of the truck. It will be used for lifting up a plate compactor, jumping jack, water pumps, which takes 2 guys to do it now. This will be a lot safer and the right thing to do as far as loading this kind of equipment inside a pickup, because it's not on a trailer. It's stuff we store inside the garage and used on a day-to-day basis, on depending on what job they're doing and what their needs are. Even a 55-gallon drum, anything heavy is going to be a back saver, and that is spec'd with a plow.
What's the Foreman currently using now, Bob?
I'm not sure the year of the Ford. It's been not rebuilt, but it had a new paint job. I think it's early 2000. It's got many miles on it. We put a ton of work into it to keep it for a plow vehicle. If we were to replace it, I would like to pass this down to the mechanic for chasing road calls that come in from time to time. And he could set his tools, and that should last him for a few years in the condition it's in, but it's not a frontline piece anymore.
How do they load it? Do they have to have ramps and roll stuff up ramps, or?
Well, right now, it's either two guys breaking their backs, picking the stuff up, or putting it in a loader bucket or something and lifting it up. Most of the time, it's the guys bending over, picking it up. And I like to eliminate that. And me changing the price from a utility to a pickup bid the way it is now, I believe last year it was over 50 grand for what I was asking for a utility pickup. I think we're saving close to 10 grand doing it this way.
All right. Anyone with any other questions on the foreman's pickup? All right, on to your next item.
Unfortunately, I am putting in for another 6-wheel plow sander truck. The second one's being built now. It actually got delivered to Madigan just the other day for their weight and installation of the truck body sander, plow frame, all the hydraulics and whatnot. If this went through, this would give us 3 newer trucks, and next year I could probably pass. And my goal is to get 5, get rid of all the 10 wheels. I'll have probably one of the older ones, the better ones, for a spare, and have 5 reliable, dependable trucks to do winter operations with. Next year, it would be probably the big item next year would probably be replacing one of the loaders. So I could, I want to be asking one for next year. I'd like to space it out a little bit. I attached the whole report to it. I don't know if you were interested in the specs, and this exact same one that's that we're going to be receiving this year.
Now, out of those 3 vehicles, Bob, which would you say, what would you consider your priorities out of those 3? How would you rate those 3?
Well, that's pretty tough.
I know it's a tough, odd question, but just trying to see which, as far as.
Well, I am putting several $1,000s in the 2 of the trucks to keep our fleet up to 5. Now, I could possibly put this off again until next year. It's just during the summer, yeah, we use the trucks for asphalt and some dirt work and stuff, but the main goal why we have a highway department is for winter operations. And that equipment really needs to be up to par and reliable and dependable. And like I said, we're slowly getting there, but if I had to, I'd probably push that off.
Have you looked to at least to purchase possibility on this, on a large ticket item such as the 237,000? Have you looked into that possibly, spread it out a little bit with the interest rate so low right now?
I didn't look at any other alternative as far as leasing or anything, no.
How much has the price increased since last year, Bob?
The price on, actually, it's pretty close to the same as what I currently gonna be paying. They did give me a little more money last year. This is actually cheaper than the one that's being built now. And it depends on the tariff on the steel and stuff. This truck and the one that you're looking at, it does gonna have a stainless steel body, which we're not gonna fight with rust and corrosion, and a lot of headaches down the road. As far as the body rusting out and giving us troubles, we should be able to get a good 20 years out of this body. And these new Sanders, they call it an all-season body. You're not going to see Sanders in the back of the truck. The truck body is the sander. You're just going to see a little spinner in front of the wheel, which is going to distribute our salt in a much more economical way when we treat the roads, because we want it on the center line of the road. And this setup here is the right way of doing it. And we currently have one 10-wheeler that's set up this way, which we just sunk $5,000 into rebuilding the body to make it usable, to keep in line. And you don't have to worry about the trucks in the middle of the road. They can just ride the center line. It's a lot safer, and your materials getting put out the right way.
All right. Any more questions on the 6-wheel plow sander? All right. On to the sidewalk machine.
Well, this was on last year as well. This is a machine that snow blows the sidewalks. It treats the sidewalks. It assists us in spring cleanup with sweeping, and it's over the rail mower. The price hasn't changed since last year, but I believe, I don't know if the memo's in here or not. Come February, I believe, she said the price is going to change. So Adam also went out and did some researching, trying to let the public know that the one we currently have is on its last leg, and it's every time it goes out is just about has a repair every time it goes out. We're trying to get it ready for winter. I just ordered another $600 part for it today, and I just don't know how much more money I'm just going to keep putting into it. This type of machine is not like the sweeper. They don't refurbish them. You don't want to buy a used one because you're buying somebody else's problems. This machine is spec'd out with all the attachments. So it'll be new machine, new attachments, and wearing evenly together. The other alternative, you can try to hire it out. You can get out of the sidewalk business and make a bylaw like other towns do. I mean, if you look, you'll see Adam's survey and report. If we don't have this machine, I would have to sub out the mowing, the sweeping, and we would have to make do with hand tools. We could make it work. And there's all other alternatives too. You could buy a cheaper machine and just use it for the sidewalks. But then you would have to buy an over the rail mower, which someday I'd really like to have its own, which is, you're probably looking close to 180, 200,000 just for that. Being a real large farm tractor, I'm sure you see them on the highways. It has weights, it's all balanced, it's and that's all it does. But you can also use it. You could put a snow blower on it. You could any 3-point attachments you could use. The one I'm familiar with, we had the flare mower in the back, as well as a blower. So after the operator did a section, debris flying around, he can go back and blow everything off the road and clean up after himself. So I don't know if this should ever go to the townspeople and let them make a decision. Might have to go for an override at some point. But it's a lot of money, but it has several uses to it.
Is it cost effective? Is that what you're saying too?
Well, right now it's the price is going to go up on a machine, but to hire it out, it's going to be cheaper in the long run for us to have our own machine to do all these tasks.
Do towns ever share these type of machines, or it would
No.
be much wear and tear?
Too much wear and tear, and they'll just put their machine in the same boat that I'm in right now.
They'd all need it at the same time, so.
Right.
I'm good.
Winching in is, I don't know how they made out, but they're in the same boat, struggling, having trouble with theirs.
Now, is this, would this be one that plows in the sidewalks, Bob, just with the a snow blower attachment for it?
This would have a snow blower attachment as well as a plow attachment, because depending on the snow and what it is, most of the time we use the snow blower, but if it's beginning and end of the season, we put the snow plow on. If it's only a couple, 3 inches, it's less time consuming than running the blower through it. And if it's a dry, dusty snow, excuse me, we could even put the broom on it and kick it off with the broom.
What are some of the key areas that you would use it for the sidewalks, and what are some of the key areas you might use it for the guardrails? You don't have to give me, just a few.
Well, pretty much all the sidewalks in town. Over the rail mowing, they call it an over rail mower, but we use it not just over the rail, but along the road edge as well. It's designed to go over the guardrails to get that, but that's our main mower. So it does all the intersections, all blind spots. We try to keep the vegetation down pretty much throughout the town, but this small machine, we can never finish the whole town in one season. And that's, if I could rely on it, I would have that mower out from spring till the first snow flying. But right now we're trying to get it ready for winter and try to get hopefully some use out of it. And
Well,
it's been sweeping in the parking lots, heavy dirt areas. We use it to kick out the heavy stuff with the sweeper. Mostly the parking lots and intersections, so the sweeper doesn't have to maneuver as much.
Would it be feasible, Bob, to split it up a little and do the snow portion of it in one season, and then the following year add on the items that would be all the mower attachments and all that? It would kind of keep it like
That would knock the price down. Like I say,
it'd still keep the more heftier machine.
if I was, I mean, when we snowplow the sidewalks, we kind of have the sanding unit on the back because we want to treat them as well.
Yep.
So you're doing two things at once. So you really don't want to just have a snowblower. The spreader for the back, it's no different than the walk behind fertilized spreader. It's pretty much the same concept.
Yep.
It has a worm gear through it, and I don't think
the impression it was two different machines. Sorry, Bob. I got the impression it was two different, like the top of the line is what's before us, but if we needed to cut it down, there are other models that don't have all the bells and whistles that this one does. Was I correct? Or
well, this machine is the main machine. It's like buying a vacuum cleaner and getting the attachments with it.
okay.
You can buy a cheaper machine with just to do sidewalks and maybe an underbelly mower or something. You can probably get something for $100,000 or shorter. But this is a multi-function machine. So I mean, for what it does, and you compare that to a real over-the-rail mower and a mini sweeper or a walk behind. I mean, just over the rail mower in a sidewalk machine, you're looking probably at $300,000.
I think my question on it was more, Bob, on the still to go with this machine, because I think going too low on the quality on the machine wouldn't be beneficial for you. But
No, because if I wait, the machine will be just used during the winter the first year and a half. Because I would be waiting for capital planning to approve the other attachments. So it'd be kind of a waste for that machine to sit and just use for snow blowing. Then I would be having my over the rail mower getting way ahead of me, unless you hire that out for a year or two. I mean, there's things we could do, but it's kind of shooting yourself in the foot with only one attachment to manipulate this machine for what it's capable for.
okay.
So Bob,
Yeah.
I stopped on this letter because I want to advocate for having this machine. In Athol, I think we had our sidewalks plowed when I was a child probably, but they got rid of it because of funding and we will never get it back. I tried when I was on the board there and to start out and build up a couple of machines and get back some employees to help. It's just not going to happen. So if you look at this letter from one of the senior citizens, they're saying, you know, how can senior citizens handle that? And we're finding that in Athol. We have fines if you don't do your sidewalks, and it doesn't matter. You go around town and there's sidewalks that people can't walk on, kids can't walk home from school. I think it's just too much to ask for some residents that can't do it physically or aren't home until late. So,
And I understand, and I know a couple of towns, they used to use pickups and front end loaders to plow the sidewalks.
mhm.
That isn't good. You're asking nothing but headaches, because now you're damaging all your curbing, your sidewalks. Well, we have a lot of good sidewalks, and we have sidewalks. If I was to put the machine like that on there, they would go away. I do not want to do that. I would almost refuse to do that.
Right.
It's just you're asking for another whole headache and too much damage in the long run, along with the piece of equipment itself. But no, I agree. It's a real gray situation. What do we do? Do we stay in the sidewalk business, or do we change the bylaws and do what some people are doing? And like Holly mentioned, you know, what about your senior citizens? What are they going to do? Try to hire somebody to shovel in front of their house so they don't get a fine? I mean, it's going to be tough.
I definitely don't think the bylaw is the way to go on that. As much as, you know, I think it's something that
It doesn't work.
it's not going to work, because you're not taking into consideration at that point if someone's handicapped going down the sidewalk and one person decides not to do their sidewalk for 100 yards.
Right. Also, it's town property. It's not their property. So,
Same thing in Orange. I know somebody that got hurt last winter
yeah.
because of those sidewalk conditions out there.
If it was me, I know Templeton's not big on overrides and whatnot, but I mean, Templeton is still a lot better than all the surrounding towns as far as tax wise and whatnot. I was to just put it to the townspeople and let them vote on it. See what their response is and what they would want to do. It's like I said, it's machine's real tired, so I don't know if I'm going to get the full winter out of it or not.
How long would it take to come in a new machine if things did go?
I think this type of machine to turn around would probably be a few months.
If you don't do the sidewalks, how much could you save, or what could you get a different type of machine?
I could just get a Bobcat. for just about $100,000 with a spreader on it, and that'll be all it'd be used for. I mean, we could use a Bobcat at the DPW for summer work as well. It's just we're going to be losing our mowing. The sweeping, I'm not too concerned about. We can always get a walk behind sweeper or make that work. But the biggest thing would be losing your mowing, and try to get somebody to mow on a regular basis. I mean, it's back in the day, you used to have a sickle bar mower and just run the road edge, but now with guardrails and there's a lot of stumps, there's a lot of rocks. These flare mowers are designed to keep off the object, but still do the job without damaging it. There's just so much stuff on the roadside now on a lot of these back roads, and I mean, it could be cable. I mean, the stuff we run into is, you wouldn't believe it, but it's out there.
How many man hours are spent plowing the sidewalks? I mean, that's on top of the cost of the vehicle.
Well, we do, the main priority is we do the roads first, and then sidewalks are second priority. I believe Adam had something typed up here on figuring that out.
Is that in his memo?
Yeah, it's in one of them.
He's looking at about 22 hours a storm, I think is what.
Yeah, it takes, depending on the size of the storm, it takes 2 to 3 days to complete the town if it's not too bad. So you're probably looking at 22, 24 hours for like a 6-inch storm.
Now look at that versus if we had the bylaw, you know, if that went that way, not having them plowed, because there are going to be people that are not going to do it regardless of what you charge them. You're going to have kids that are walking in the road because they can't get home from school. I just think it's for 22 hours a storm versus not having streets plowed, sidewalks plowed, excuse me, and having people constantly complaining because we got rid of that service, I think wouldn't be worth it. I think it's a good service for the town.
I agree. I think so too. I mean, the purpose of putting sidewalks in on the roads would make the roads safer for people walking on the side versus walking on the road where it was plowed. So I think that, definitely having the sidewalk be able to travel safely down is important.
Oh, don't believe me, you and me, we still get complaints. We have a big storm, like the beginning of last year, we had those 2 big storms. Well, there's a lot of hours on the road, plowing and treating, plowing and retreating and whatnot. Now guys got 30 hours plus hours under their belt. I'm not going to take that driver and try to stick them in the sidewalk machine at 2 o'clock in the morning, because I'm just asking for a disaster.
You're always going to get complaints when it comes to that, no matter for these. And
I mean, if it's a small storm and we wrap up, absolutely, I throw somebody right out there as soon as I can. But I do have to give them at least a few hours to get some sleep and put somebody in the machine, because I don't want him to injure himself, the machine, or private property or anything. I mean, too much can happen. But we do get out there as soon as we can, plus the breakdown. So if they're halfway done in the breakdown, I got to order parts. Now the machine's sitting for 2 or 3 days, if we're lucky, and to get it back out there and continue working. So it's tough.
Do you contract out at that point, or what do you do at that point?
No, we don't contract anything out on the sidewalks if the machine breaks down at this current time. You could probably call like Smith or Cat and rent a machine by the month and continue the service that way. Or that's another option. You could rent like a Bobcat, for 5 or 6 months. Without looking or get prices, you're probably looking $5,000 a month for the piece of equipment. I mean, it's
Sheriff's
different.
Department and hand them each a shovel.
Yeah, unfortunately, the Billings and Grounds, the two guys, they got their hands full with all the department buildings and sidewalks. So they stay busy when we get a storm.
All right, does anyone have any other questions about the sidewalk machine slash mower?
Oh no, I don't have a question, but I just wanted to say that as a young person that has gone out there, because I used to run out that way in front of the schools and in front of the sidewalks. Definitely, this is one of the it's almost, as a runner, like I've been out there. It's, this is a pretty, significant, for the safety of both the children and the older people that like to go out that way. And just that, I know I don't like running in the winter, but I couldn't imagine ever running out in that direction anymore if I knew that those potentially weren't, swept or, the snow were removed off of those sidewalks. So I just wanted to put that perspective out there since I have been out there so many times.
And what did we say about, we didn't say about just getting the taxpayers' approval? How long would that take? Does anybody have any idea? If we did a
I don't know off the top of my head. I mean, it's say $200,000. So however many years you broke that out for, 2 years, 3 years, 5 years. It's going to be like buying a new ambulance. It'll probably be close to that, but I think a new ambulance is like $275 or something. But I don't know what the rate would be.
Holly, would you say do a survey, or any idea?
What do you mean for the town? Are you talking about for an override?
Or something? I don't, I'm just, if we couldn't afford in this cycle the whole amount to do part and then do an override on part. I don't know. I'm just thinking off the top of my head.
Well, if capital planning doesn't approve it, I would suggest it to go to town meeting and let the townspeople vote on it. Yeah, it would be an override. And then hopefully it would be awesome to see a couple hundred people at the town meeting, at least out of 8,000 plus people. I would hate to see the past showing of the town meetings, 40 to 60 people make a decision on an item like this.
Yeah. Oh, food for thought.
All right. If no one has any more questions on that, then go on to his next project.
Next project, as you're all aware of, the Hamlet Mill Bridge. So now we have two bridges. We have Main Street and we have Hamlet Mill. Unfortunately, this beginning of the summer, MassDOT come out and did an inspection, and we had two options. Either to close the bridge, restrict it down to like Main Street, or make a temporary repair, which the DPW guys and crew did, which consisted of getting large timber and shimming a couple of the beams. They did a fantastic job. MassDOT approved it. You're probably looking anywhere from 2, maybe possibly 5 years before they make some more drastic changes. So in that time, I'd like to appropriate the $400,000 for the design and repair. These both bridges are very important, and we keep collecting them and just adding them up. We're never going to get out of it. we do have to stay up on the maintenance of these bridges. When they write their reports, any little thing it all adds up in the end. As you can see, this is damage that's been caused in the past many years, way back. The beams are rotting. They're actually flaking. There's on this Hamlet Mill Bridge is actually a spot in the beam you can see through. These are constantly getting moisture. They haven't been painted or maintained. So they're in desperate need of some help.
Are the grants out there at all, Bob, for these bridge repairs and bridge replacements, or portions of it?
Yes, there'll be some granting. Carter is working on the Main Street one, and I think this is just the start of the Hamlet Mill Bridge. Nothing's been asked for or applied for this bridge as of yet. The first thing we have to do, like I said, is get a engineer to come out, engineer it, and know what we have, what the work scope is going to be, and what's going to be involved for material, and have a plan. And then you could get prices and bid it out from there. But we need to start somewhere. Like I say, you have 3 to 5 years possibly on this temporary repair.
What's the status of the project on the Main Street Bridge? What's that?
I believe we're waiting to start the beginning stages of the designing of that one. There is $200,000 for that. So hopefully going to get that started soon.
All right, anyone have any other questions on Hamlet Mill Bridge project? All right. Next up, we got smoke machine.
Smoke machine. It's a piece of equipment, as you see on the page follow. What it does, it tests leaks for as far as exhaust, air leaks, anything that where fluid doesn't run through unless you empty out the system, and then you could use the smoke machine. But your newer vehicles, your police cruisers, your ambulances, the big trucks, small trucks, like the cruisers, for a while they were complaining of smell on the back of the car. And Ford did have a problem, but it wasn't related to that. To find these small leaks between the converters and everything else now in the exhaust systems, it gives us a good true test and isolate the area if there is an area that needs some of what repair to make it right. And this is what the technology is coming to. This is what all your main garages do. This would pay for itself versus sending it out, even if it was 3-4 times a year. It would be well worth having our own versus sending it out.
So it's nothing you could just blow the lines. You couldn't just blow air in and listen or feel for a leak. It's the smoke. You would see the smoke coming out where the leak.
Yeah, because especially up around what you call the manifold, underneath all this plastic and all this wiring now and everything else. It's not like the old cars. You could put your hand down there and feel it. There's so much stuff in the way now, it's almost impossible. So this would eliminate ripping a lot of the car or the truck apart to get down to that area to visibly see it like you should be able to.
And then the mechanic could fix it.
Right.
Mechanic, yeah.
All right, any more questions on the smoke machine? All right, next up.
Next up is it's a transmission flusher. Same thing, new technology, the newer transmissions. A lot of the transmissions you used to be able to just pull the plug and drain it out. A lot of them are contained now. Another maintenance feature, we just sent out one truck. They have it done. And this would be used all the police cruisers, all the DPW stuff, the Billings and Grounds vehicles, fire chief's car. It's something that it's almost like changing your motor oil, but not as frequent. And this machine would enable us to do that instead versus sending it out. And this machine would pay for itself over a few years.
How long do they last?
It depends on the mileage, like the police cars, they're probably going to do a couple of year on each car. Depends on your usage of the vehicle. It goes by mileage.
No, I meant the flusher itself.
Oh, yeah, that should last you 8-10 years without a problem. If anything goes on it, it is repairable. The picture you're looking at is just a plastic cover covering all the pumps and stuff that are underneath.
All right, any other questions on the transmission flusher? I think that might be all you got, Bob, unless you had something else that.
Not on the highway, no. We were probably another hour or so ahead of us on the next section. If you want a short break, it's now the time to probably take it if you need to use the facilities.
I'm all set unless someone else wants to.
Did you say another hour?
Oh, yeah, there's twice as much as what we just went over.
All right, well, in that case, why don't we take a quick 5-minute stretch here and we'll keep plugging forward. How's that sound?
All right,
Thank you. Yeah.
we'll see you in 5.
We don't need to adjourn the meeting. We're just going to stay on and just take a break, let people stretch on for a minute.
I'm back.
Appreciate you putting all the information together, Bob. So,
Oh, no problem.
thank you.
I lost the network. I was like, you know what? No,
Are you listening to them?
yeah, I'm still on. I just,
Well, then you should be fine.
I'm not.
I'm good to go. I just am having an apple.
Can you make it bigger?
Okay, we probably just got a couple more minutes. So once we get Cheryl and Holly back, we'll
Oh.
Resume.
I'm here.
All right. Looks like we got
Awesome.
Holly back.
We got everybody?
I don't know if we got Cheryl back.
I'm here. Terry's here.
Yep. Okay. Looks like we got everybody back. We'll get going again. Resume. Thank you for patience.
Okay, so the next section, as it says, it's Billings and Grounds. This includes all the equipment for the grounds and maintenance on the town buildings. I know Justice is new to the team, so unfortunately, all the Templeton town buildings they all need a lot of work. It's slowly picking away at it, but it's a lot of work, a lot of years to come. Our first project request would be electrical panels at the town hall. Holly, who's scrolling the projects?
Who's what?
Who's running the forms on the site?
Screen sharing, I think he's talking about.
Oh, me,
Okay,
sleeping on the job.
wake up. So
Panels, there we go.
this is new to the this year. I was asked earlier this summer if I could add some outlets in the town hall and a couple of the offices. I brought an electrician in. Unfortunately, the electrical at the town hall is maxed out. It has, there's one panel or two down cellar that's still got the screw and fuses. There's really no room to add any more power. And if we do add power, we're just asking for trouble, which we already have enough tripping of breakers, right, Holly? So to replace the panels and upgrade the electrical panels, you're looking at $14,000. And if you see on the second sheet, gives you a breakdown what work would be done.
Just a question on this, Bob. The one at the bottom of the cellar stairs with the really old, the ones that you unscrew, is that still being used?
Yes,
It is.
that's the cellar lights, which you don't have down there in the back, are running off that panel. I am waiting. I am going to put some LEDs down in there,
Okay.
so it'll cut back on the power for tripping keep tripping the fuses. So within another week, the rest of the lights should be in. He was just waiting for a couple more to come in.
So if we got this new panel, we would replace what's on that old one?
That would be one of the
Put that
ones.
on the new one?
Yeah, the ones up in the hallway would be updated and changed out, as well as the ones in the cellar. I think there's like 4 panels altogether. We did the pretty much the same thing with the DPW, both fire stations in the last couple of years. I haven't had any complaints so far.
Okay.
All right. Does anyone have any other questions on the electrical panels at Town Hall?
We'll move on. The second year this is on, the senior center roof being replaced. If any of you been on here last year, if you remember correctly, last year we had a price of $250,000. I reached out to the company that currently did the fire department roof and that is currently working on the library roof for estimate, and it did take a big chunk of that off. From what I heard was this company bought a lot of material, the foam board and stuff that's for rubber roofs, and they have a lot in stock. So I think that's part of the reason why we got a better price. The senior center roof, I cringe every time somebody wants to go up there. I really don't want anybody up there because you walk on it, it starts popping all the buttons and creates leaks. I know the left side of the building, if you're familiar with the senior center way down to the left, that back corner has got a lot of rot. We had pictures last year. I do have a report from last year. If any of you want to go through it, is a good report. I didn't attach the whole thing to it. But this is a roof that needs to be replaced. Can't really repair it as you just throwing your money out the window. Needs to be done right. And looking at Rochelle, I'm sure it'll end up going out to bid anyways to make everything legal, but I'm sure they would get the winning bid. So from 250 to 160, give or take. Any roof job like this, even like the library, you don't know what's under there until you open it up. So
What would did they give any estimate on what would be an entail if they get to the structural part of the roof deck and it's got more damage than we're anticipating?
Well, he did leave a $25,000 contingency of unknown. That could be less, that could be more. probably be into our favor to add another 20,000 on that if needed. So you want to have to appropriate or use free cash or whatever. You can always give the money back, but it's harder to ask for it.
Is that out at the prevailing wage? Is that what prevailing wage is?
Yeah. The 25,000, no, that's just for if they ran
Materials.
into materials and installation and what's needed. Have any other questions on that?
I do not.
Okay, so we'll move into the next one, which is zero turn mower for $92.85. This is a program that we've been doing, replacing the mowers over at the grounds department, keeping them on a cycle, less maintenance repairs, and it's working out well. It's been since I've been here, I have no complaints. Well, he's not new anymore, but Jake Babcock, he's a real professional. He runs a landscape business on the side as well, and we had lawn tractors for many years, guard tractors, sit down mowers, whatever you want to call it. We got zero turns now. It's taking less time, getting tighter to the stones, easy to maneuver in the cemeteries. Last year's capital, you almost have to see it. It's how far they came. It's pretty good. They have a leaf vac now. We built a box for the truck, and they actually have a leaf plow that goes on front of one of the zero turns, and it actually plows the piles towards the leaf vac and sucks them up, and is just cut the time back on cleanup so easy. Big difference from what it used to be. So this would just be a replacement of a zero turn mower for one of the 710 John Deere sit down tractors, which would be turned down towards the rec department, Gilman Waite, for their use over there. They have one of the older ones in that starting to give us a little trouble, so we would just pass this one that to be traded and hand it over to the rec department. The next one's this was on here last year. The price is the same. The cash shelter roof, it's town property. It's leased out to this in Haven cash shelter. The shingles are all rolled up, all brittle. Knock on wood, it's not leaking into the interior yet, but soon to be. It's a straightforward roof. It's easy, no big. It's not a big job, and the price stayed the same as last year, $4,300.
Okay.
And the next one again was on last year, painting of the cash shelter. It needs to be painted. It's not in a real bad disarray, but I really don't want to get it to a point where we're sandblasting block and stuff to make it look good. We didn't paint it last year. It could probably go another year. It's not in dire need of paint. but it's something that needs to be done.
Bob?
Yeah.
What do you think of the condition of that building?
I did a bunch of photos for Carter last year and did a walkthrough interior, exterior. The structure of the building is excellent. I wish it was my office. There would be some interior work, updating, remodeling, being the cash shelter, if something else was to go in there. But they are taking care of it. They have a lot of volunteers that are there several times a day. They do take care of the inside and keep it up for what it is. But I had no complaints from them on anything on the inside of it.
So it's worth putting a roof and painting?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. Okay.
And volunteers paint?
Oh, I'm sure volunteers could paint. But I don't know how their lease is set up. If they're paying the town of Templeton, I think it's our service to take care of the building versus asking them if they had a crew that would want to slap some paint. Or you can even get a committee, the Boy Scouts, but everything comes down to liability.
Yeah, that's a huge liability.
So everything on your list, Bob, is high quality. Like, I was wondering why there wasn't a few different quotes, but you're confident that all the equipment that you're looking at and the work that you're looking at is like the
A lot of
best
these-
bang for the buck.
A lot of these quotes that you see the same contractor, under $10,000 has been doing a lot of our work in Templeton. And his work is good quality, uses good quality products. I work well with him, versus the past. And he's since I've been here, I enjoy working with him. He works with me. But if it's a job over $10,000, obviously he knows it's going to go out to bid, and he'll either bid on it or he's got plenty of work elsewhere. It's almost like having a town electrician. Anything under the $10,000 mark, like Woodford Electric, if I had an emergency, I could call on him and he would come out versus trying to call 5 or 6 of them, see who's going to come out. And I think that means a lot to the town, having people in town and contractors like that service us under great emergencies or in need. Like today, we got a sparking outlet at the town hall, so I'll call the electrician. He'll come up and look at it and take care of it versus trying to call 5 or 6 of them. You know, you just burning your bridges, picking and choosing on who you're giving it to. If you give it to one person and follow the procedures, and they're going to take care of you.
Great.
The next one is the fire escape in Baldwinville Fire Station, the front station. This is an absolute must, or they would have to get money elsewhere. This is right now it's an old pressure treated stairway and landing that's very unsafe. My guys won't shovel it because it's unsafe. It needs to be torn down. And this $18,000 is for a steel stairway and change the design a little more meaningful than having a second landing and then another set of steps. It'll be running parallel with the existing building on top of a cement pad with railing. They would have the grates so most of the snow will fall through and the grippers on it. This is their only way out of the second story of the second floor of the fire station. So this is a well-needed replacement of a stairway.
Now, would you possibly be able to find somebody that do both?
Well, a steel company's gonna make the stairs and erect them, and then as you see, as that contractor again, Burke and Sons, it would be removing of the old one and prepping the pad and stuff for the new installation of the new one.
That potentially would go, that would go out to bid anyways, with being
Well,
at
yes,
that price range between the two.
no, it all depends how we do it. That one there, I believe, because yeah, the first one probably have to go out to bid. The subcontractor, you're well under the $10,000 mark.
Right, but as a project itself, it'd be
Right.
18,000, almost 19. So
The next one is the same location, same building, second floor, remodeling of the kitchen upstairs. That doesn't include anything that might be hot, as far as asbestos wise, whether it's, sealant tiles, paint, flooring, whatever, that would have a contingency of one set amount or something to offset it.
anyone have any other kitchen remodeling ideas or questions?
I do. Is this a safety issue because of the electric, or is it just updating a kitchen?
A little bit of everything, Holly. Updating the wiring, the plumbing, remodeling the kitchen.
Okay. Do you know how much they use this
Daily.
daily? Okay. All right, thank
And
you.
that's it. That's the station that's manned 24/7.
Right.
So
Okay.
Okay, if no other questions on the kitchen, on to next project.
next project was brought to you last year as well, the emergency management building. Once again, I do have a real substantial report from the architect, well as a structural engineer. This building needs a lot of work. Tighten up the outside, repointing, replacing a lot of rotted boards. It's a historical building. It's still on knob and tube wiring. He's having some issues with the flooring. Some cement work would have to be done. We are also talking with CPC and maybe doing some of this in phases, and changing the building, the front of the building back to the original of 3 doors. But last year's price for all is $457.5. I'm sure that's changed. So I'm just throwing it back at you, let you know that nothing's been done to it as of yet. And Rich is talking with CPC and trying to do some phases. He's reached out to me. What should be done first? I always start with the roof, which I believe the roof is okay on this building, but windows, rotted wood, repointing of the brick, and then go inside where it's weather tight and start doing some of the projects in there.
It's definitely a nice old historic building. Yeah, I remember using it as a fire station, and
Yeah, and I mean, he's they well, as of in this crisis, it's been real active. They do have a good team of volunteers, and a couple of them are there daily. Not getting paid for what they do, checking equipment, going through stuff. So if there's ever an emergency or a crisis or sheltering, they're all geared up for all this stuff and ready
I
to
do
be
think
the first.
it's potentially a fantastic CPC project also. I mean, certainly
Oh, absolutely.
not going to get much more historic than that as far as the buildings go in there. There might be some historical grants out there too. As far
Yeah, I think they might be looking into that as well. And I saw a picture down there of the building when they had the 3 doors. It looked pretty sharp. It'd be cool to bring that back. Preserve some of the historical into Templeton.
Anyone can sniff out a grant, it's Mr. Curtis. He's been at it. He had one for 10,000 and he gave him back a penny.
Okay, no one has any more on that. Go on to the next project.
Next project was on last year as well. It's a rebuild of the cupola at the top of the town hall. This, to me, is I would like to see it stay. And we are working with CPC, having them trying to help us as well. I think being the capital of Templeton, something that's, to see on the building. I don't believe the building makes historically. I believe we looked into that. So I don't think there's any historical grants that would help us on this. But this would pretty much rebuild the cupola that's existing now, all the wood and all the fins and the top, and it looked pretty sharp and it would last many years. When the first CPC, when I approached them with this, they really had a trouble digesting the price. And then they also asked how much it would cost to take it off and cap it over. But now at the CPC meeting, I believe it was last week, there were actually 2 or 3 members actually talking a little bit positive about it. They like to see it get done. So that's where we stand at the moment with that.
I've been following that on CPC, and I know that there are some, in particular, Mrs. Tainter was saying East Templeton, what do they really have is, outstanding for their part of the villages, and that was near and dear to her heart, and I'm sure other folks as well.
I might have to do some pruning of a couple of trees to make it a little more visible. The trees are overgrown a little bit, but there's nothing that we can't prune back and please everyone. So the next 3 or 4, all up pretty much Templeton's public parking lots, roadways are in pretty bad condition. The town hall, a little over half of it was done, I don't know how far ago, but it was only the base coat. It never got completed. When you pull into the town hall, you come up that little hill and you can see it all broken up in disarray, curbing missing. So this first, I kind of broke this up into 2 phases. The first phase would be removing all the hot top, regrade, and put down a new base coat of asphalt. And the second phase would be to overlay the whole thing for 29 565 with all the berming repaired. And that would last you a good 15, 20 years. I did, this past year, I did crack seal the part that I'm trying to save, so we don't have to tear up the whole parking lot. So I'm trying to preserve what was already done. So we did this first section, and it would be a big help. It's one quote, but 4 or 5 different. I highlighted each parking lot that we're talking with a job request.
Would you look to do them all in that same type of setup, Bob? Where the first year you do the structural and base coat, and follow up the following year with
Well, no,
the top
not
coat.
really. The other ones, if you want to move on to, we got the parking lot at the DPW. That one there would be some milling around the front of the buildings and the fuel pump area. So when you put the top coat on top of the existing, it would meet the doorways and stuff. This just needs to be milled and prepped for the top coat, and some areas leveled, which is saving a tremendous amount of money versus trying to reclaim it, doing a base coat and a top coat. The price would be ridiculous. So I put this in last year. So this would be the second year on the DPW. And on the quote sheet that would be on the bottom, grind out bad areas, and they would put a motion down before putting the top coat, which is like a tack material to bond together, and just like the roadways. The next one is Templeton Center parking lot. Pretty much the same idea. Mill out in front of the doorways. I'm not sure if there's a manhole there or not. That would be readjusted if there is. Do some leveling, and then put down the top coat with the tack. That would be the second one down on the quote sheet. 9,022.5. And next one is the parking lot at the Baltimoreville Fire Station. Once again, that one we'll look into do some regrading, milling, 2-inch base coat. This would have, you could do this one in 2 phases. The only thing about 2 phases, it all sounds good, but if you're gonna let them sit for 5 years, you're wasting your money. Because the water's gonna get through it, it's gonna start creating potholes. The base coat's a lot coarser than the top coat. Town Hall is a prime example. They put the base down, never did nothing with it, so now I spent money to crack seal it and hopefully follow through on finishing and doing the whole thing. If we don't follow through, it's all a waste of money. So you don't want to let them set too long without not finishing it. And that is 58.5.
And that'll do everything from the parking lot, from the driveway down?
Right from the roadway down, yeah. Behind the front station is a couple sets of doors down there, going across to the rear metal building, all the way across right to the dumpster line. And that does have a catch basin and be some burn repair replacement there as well. The next one is just for the grounds. The cemetery and grounds. They have an old, well, it's a 2007, I believe. JCB backhoe. It's a smaller backhoe. It's a unique backhoe. I don't know who purchased it or spec'd it out, but it has articulating steering. Before you use that machine, you have to, let's say, calibrate the steering before you move, because it would dock walk going down the road. It's something JCB tried to do, and it's starting to give us a lot of headaches. And it really needs to be replaced. Replacing it with they call it a mini backhoe. It's pretty much a mini excavator, rubber tracks. Easy to get in between tombstones and lots. This is priced with a trailer and with a trade-in of $7,500, unless a greater value price at the town auction. It would come with 2 buckets, a digging bucket they call, and it's a cleanup bucket with a hydraulic thumb. So if they hit a nugget or something, they can just pluck it up, and or they can pick up brush and stuff at their dumping facilities at each location. The cleanup bucket, if it's good digging, you just got to go a bucket wide. It's a nice machine. I came from a town, we had one and we loved it. It's the way to go for cemetery work and working around town buildings. If we had I want to dig electrical line at one of the town buildings, that'd be a perfect machine to use, less damage. It'll be a big asset to them. And that one I have to go out to bid that. Caterpillar does state bidding price.
All right. Any more questions on the backhoe?
The next one, this was on capital planning last year. De-ice cables at the Templeton Fire Station, 5750. They did get their mini split, and there was a couple other projects going on, and while the electricians and stuff were in there, all the wires are already pretty much run for these. So I believe this price came down because some of the work is already done. It'd be nice to get them up on there. This is a good safety job to get done, because you won't have to worry about all their front bays where the roof is pitched in front of all their doors and man doors. This would prevent an icicle or anything coming down and taking a chance of somebody getting hurt trying to go help somebody else. The last few were I believe were presented to you not too long ago. Gilman Waite, the fencing, all the fencing being replaced for $36,000. Then the next one was the irrigation for $100,000. Irrigation, this would be putting all the piping in and getting ready to use. The irrigation is going to be as close to, I believe, 6 acres, but the whole 6 acres won't be irrigated at the same time. There is a cistern there, a well there now. It's all going to be broken down into zones and timing. So the whole area will not be irrigated at the same time. There'll be delays in time. Our goal is for hopefully that the well that's there will recover. I know Scott's been talking with the water department as well as maybe a secondary source if needed, but we don't hope to use that. And if we were to use it, we would, especially if they put a water ban on it, and we're going to obey the water ban. It's not going to be misused or overused, I should say. If it's raining out, we're not going to have the heads come on and be watering the grass when it just rained. It's going to be conservative. And the other project was, I'm sorry?
What type of flow rate will that well give? Has anyone looked into that on that size of irrigation? It's going to use a lot of water, obviously, even if it's running for half an hour.
Right. I am working on that now, trying to get some history of what we have there in place already. Pretty much going to try to get a hold of one of the irrigation people to see if he can help me out with that answer for a few people. I don't have that presently, so.
Is there any modern day like rain catchers, rain gardens, or things that can catch there's things that catch the dew off the stupid grass, believe it or not, and convert that into usable water? I don't know if there's any green initiatives out there, because water is a concern.
No, we don't have any containment for that sourcing yet. There's only one building on the property, so yeah, I don't even know if it has gutters, but you could save that water as well. But
I'm talking about watering the grass too, like putting in the irrigation system. I'm wondering if there's any other alternatives for today's situation. I mean, we were in one of the driest summers of ever. A lot of communities were hurting. It was so dry this year. So I don't know if that's going to change going forward, but if there was any way we could look into,
yeah, we are looking at that. All this has all been approved by CPC as well. And it's kind of like 3 projects, and they approved, I think it was 235, something 200, and I believe the school, there's another 30 or 35 to put towards it.
If you get those irrigation numbers, Bob, can you forward them on if you do happen to get those?
Sure.
I think over like almost on a regular acre, I think you're looking at like 15 to 1700 gallons at a whack. So
right,
it's a sizable chunk.
Yeah, I'm working on that now, Tom, and as soon as I get something, I will definitely keep you in a loop.
Thank you.
So other than that, that's all I'm going to give you a headache for this year.
oh my God.
It's less than last year, so.
Ouch. Oh my goodness. This is amazing. This is my first year, and it's just amazing how much we need to run a town.
And there's plenty more out there, so. unfortunately, we're just gonna keep picking away at what we can and hopefully stay ahead of the downfalls of everything.
I'm impressed by your thoroughness.
I try,
appreciate
that's
it.
all I can do. I'm
appreciate
not sugarcoating nothing, it's reality. I feel bad just as the town people. Like, I like to see the improvements and I'm seeing it already. The townspeople should be proud. But there's a lot of work to be done and all we can do is do what we're doing and hopefully do it in the right steps.
I feel bad too. I know that's kind of why I took this on Holly's recommendation. Thanks, Holly. And I went up Orchard Lane and I was amazed how tight that is and how well it was done. And it just, it came out great. You know,
Yeah, they finished the guardrails last Friday.
Yeah.
That's called weather guardrailing
yeah.
versus the shiny galvanized stuff that sticks out like a solar summit. It blends in with the aesthetics a little better, I think. So they finished that, and I think all they have left to do is maybe a few things on the punch list, but I think they're gonna wait till spring. But other than that, I'm happy overall with how it came out.
And I don't know how the public weighed in, but you know how I feel about salt versus sand. I think I
Oh,
made that abundantly clear. That was a great call.
It made a big difference this year as far as cleaning up. When I first came here and saw the gravel roads, I just wanted to turn around and go back home.
Yeah,
But we come a long ways.
I'm scratching my head. You know, there's Lamb Road. I went down Lamb City Road, and that's really bad. But I'm scratching my head on how to keep the quaintness of the town and what kind of businesses we can attract to beef up our budget so we can give the taxpayers.
Start getting some businesses in here instead of turning them away and get more people at town meetings. You know, it's the town wants revenue. Well, and I encourage everybody to attend. That's a voter. And
Yeah, and put our heads together with the voters. I'd like to work with the people instead of be criticized or criticize people. Like, see the town come together as a whole and brainstorm and see what we can come up with. Realtors working with EDIC, or you know, sending in suggestions to Holly because she's so approachable, you know, and she has a good heart for the town too. I think we all do, otherwise we wouldn't be here.
right. Well, I should give you a few things to chew on for the next couple of days. So,
Oh,
if I can be
Definitely appreciate you.
help, please reach out to me. I'll answer your questions. And if anybody would like to see those more thorough reports of emergency management building or the senior center, I'll be more than happy to get them to you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it, Bob.
You're welcome. Any other questions?
I think that's it.
Nope.
Thank you.
Great job.
All right. Have a good night, folks.
You
Take care,
too.
you too.
Stay
You
safe.
too.
Thanks.
You too.
So that's going to be it for our department reviews. The next meeting scheduled for Wednesday, December 9th. Certainly have a lot of items to go over and go through and try to prioritize how we think the money's best would be spent and how move forward with that. Pretty sure Adam had sent out the form that was used in previous years. Cheryl, I think you might be the only one on the board that was on the capital planning last year. As far as moving forward, how was the best way that it's worked in the past for you?
We just got all together and went down the list, and what we did was took what their high priorities were and, you know, kind of went with those to start off with. You know, the things at the bottom of the list, obviously they're on the bottom of the list for a reason. So take the high priority ones and at least start with them and not worry about the other things. You know, and it all depends on how much money we're starting with too. You know, so we tried to spread it around a little bit so that everybody got a little bit of something so that they, you know, they can keep their equipment up, and it's, yeah, one piece by one piece. That's all we did, you know, went over it and discussed what was best for each department.
Excellent. That'll be a chore-filled meeting, that's for sure.
Adam had a long spreadsheet that actually Doug used to keep, and I have an old copy of it, but it had everybody's items that they've been going, you know, giving us over the past few years. He should still have that. We can add these items, the new items, to this list. He had it last, so I'm not sure. I don't have the Excel copy of it. I just have a printed copy, but Adam was keeping that sheet up last year.
Okay.
Yeah, we had sent that to Justice. He's going to be updating what everyone put on.
Yes.
Thanks, Justice.
No, no problem.
Okay. Does anyone have anything else that they want to talk about tonight, or?
Nope.
Okay, if that's the case, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
I will make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Okay, made and seconded. Cheryl?
Yes.
Holly?
Yes.
Terry?
Yes.
Justice?
Yes.
And I'm a yes. Very good. Thank you guys, and have a nice night.
Yeah.
Thank
have a good
you.
night.